I'm Coach Nathen, your guide to total health empowerment and living life on your terms. So our episode here of Nourish Your Devotion, we have episode 4, and what we do is here we have this set of inspirational quotes we have. We take one from the beginning, from the very front, and we'll read it. These are all inspirational quotes based on Bhagavad Gita. So we'll read this here. It says, if we let our imagination toy with temptation, we become toys of temptation. And this is an inspirational quote from Bhagavad Gita 2.67. If we let our imagination toy with temptation, we become toys of temptation. And this is reminding me of last week we talked about the desires and the 3 different types of desires. And so our temptations can come from desires, right? So let's dive into Bhagavad Gita 2.67, and we'll see what reflections we get from this verse and the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Pull that up right here. Our wonderful resource, Bhaktivedanta Database. Pull up Bhagavad Gita here. We go to chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. And then we had verse 67. We got, this is called Sanskrit right here. Very nice for the soul. And then for our minds, so we can understand, we got the translation. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focus is can carry away a man's intelligence. A person's intelligent, right? What do you guys think? Thinking that when we're focusing on, say we're very hungry, right? Have you heard of the situation where you're hungry and all you can think about is getting something to eat? And so your senses of the tongue is like really strong, right? And so you might be driving through traffic and you're just extra angry, wanting to get there. And so I'm thinking that sometimes we even do crazy things when we're hangry, right? Might be a little sharp with people. And so you can see that this is saying that it carries away our intelligence. Why did I say that? Man, I was being such a jerk, you know? Well, we're meditating right here. The mind focus is meditating on something that we really want. Purport: unless all the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in the senses in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. Okay, so we have a culture of making progress. We're trying to make progress in our relationship with the Lord. And when our senses, the eyes, the sense of touch, right? Smell, hearing, tasting, right? And even the mind is actually considered one of the senses. The 6 in the Vedas, it says that we have 6 senses. We have the 5 senses that we talked about, and then the mind. So if we get overran by these senses of gratifying them, they can take us away. They can take us off that path of progress, of transcendental advancement. Sometimes we have bad habits, right? And even bad habits can take away us from just advancement in our material life, right? But since we're interested here in transcendental advancement, we're thinking about how they can distract us from our progress of our relationship with the Lord, right? With Krishna. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Ambarish, all the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. Who's Maharaj Ambarish? So actually, Maharaj Ambarish was an amazing king. This was a time when the king didn't just rule a country or a state or a territory. The king ruled the whole entire earth. And Maharaj Ambarish was the king of that whole entire earth. And so he was rich. He was very powerful. He was very influential, very beautiful, very handsome man. And all of these things, everything he did was for the purpose of his Krishna consciousness. So all the riches he had, he made sure that the temples or the churches or the mosques were nicely taken care of, that the Lord was worshipped nicely there. Whenever he ate anything for dinner, lunch, it was always very nice. But first, he would make sure that he uh, blessed the food, right? He offered it back to the Lord. He'd do a prayer before he'd even accept it because he knew that everything that he had and received was actually the Lord's. And there's this concept called renunciation, right? When we get into spiritual life, we think about how we want to renounce material life, right? But it's very interesting to think about what is there to renounce. I mean, everything is being provided by the Lord. It says in the Bhagavad Gita that the Krishna says, I'm the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this engage in my loving service, and they worship me. They love me with all their heart. He's saying that everything comes from him. So what is it? We think, oh, I got this car, I got this house, I got this body even, right? We're spirit, soul, and this body. I've got this body, I've got my wife, I've got my kids and stuff. But the truth is they're all actually the supreme persons. He just gives us a rent, he gives us a little lease. We sign a little lease. I will use this body for so many years. I will use this car for so many years. But he's so renounced, he doesn't mind when we say it's ours. We think it's ours. He just smiles. He's okay with it. But the sense of renouncing something that's not even ours is a little silly, right? So then the question, a good question, a smart question, an intelligent question would be, well, what is renunciation? If nothing's ours, if everything's owned by the Lord, then how do I renounce? Well, renunciation, as being taught by Maharaj Ambarish, means that I am very clear that nothing is mine, that everything is the Lord. And so, in that understanding, instead of falsely denying things, the devotee, the spiritually advanced, the transcendently advanced person starts to engage these things in the service of the Lord. Oh, I have a nice car. That's okay. I can take that car and I can use it to do different kinds of services. I can use it to go take care of my job that I get paid at, that takes care of my family, and do something amazing where it helps people, you know? Or I have a beautiful garden, I have nice flowers on my trees, and so I take those flowers and I make a nice garland. Have you ever seen a garland before? A garland is a string of flowers that you wrap around somebody's neck when you give it to them. It's very nice. It's kind of like a lei. If you've ever been to Hawaii, uh, if you've ever been to a luau, they'll give you a lei. And usually they're plastic or something like that, like fake flowers. But these are garlands of real flowers you can make, and you can offer those to the Lord. So anything that we see, anything that we hear, we are hearing. We spend so much time, right, in hearing about different subjects and different things. We hear about politics. We hear about the sports. We hear about what's the latest news, all kinds of stuff. And so our ear hears that and it affects our intelligence. It gives us what you could say is a filter by which we look at things. It's like if we put on some glasses and they were color tinted lenses and they say they're red, and so we see everything red. And so the things that we hear affect our intelligence, and our intelligence affects how we see things. It gives us the tint. So do we want to see everything in the tint of politics? Do we want to see the tint of everything in how we can enjoy them for our own good? Or how we're the tent of how we can um, use everything for our controlling, our benefit, these things. So when we hear transcendental things, when we hear spiritual matters like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bible, the Quran, and from learned purified souls, when we hear from them, our intelligence starts to get an interesting lens. It starts to see our lens from spiritual sight, you could say. Matter of fact, it said that um, a lot of people say, if God is real, then show me God, you know? But there's a shrimp called I think it's a clownfish. Don't quote me on this, but there's a certain kind of sea creature that sees totally different colors than we see. So it's literally seeing different things than we can see. And so uh, you turn on the light, I can't see. I mean, we're so proud of our eyes, right? We're so proud of our seeing. But it's said in the Vedas, in knowledge, that if you really want to see correctly, then first you need to hear correctly. You need to hear about the right subject matters. And if you hear about the Lord, then you'll start seeing a lens where you see the Lord's presence. You see the relationship you have with the Lord. Very powerful. So our quote today was, if we let our imagination toy with temptation, we become toys of temptation. We become we, the temptation uses us like puppets. Oh, we want this. Let's go. Oh, we want this. And you see, like I was mentioning about bad habits and stuff, or alcohol, or, there's people that get so carried away with these temptations that they literally control their life. And so we can have a different purified temptation, right? Our purified temptation can be that we hear about subject matter, and our temptation can be, oh, I can't wait to get to the temple. I can't wait to get to church. I can't wait to start reading. I can't wait to get to Cowherd Village and hear about Bhagavad Gita, these things. So this is important. We want total health empowerment, right? So we can understand the temptations of our physical health. We want to be nice and healthy, but are we tempted to have a physical health so that we can be the most beautiful person in the world? Which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that like being beautiful or being fit is great, right? We should do that. But we should also understand our purpose for it, and have a purpose that's actually going to make us happy instead of actually giving us stress, right? Do we have financial temptations that are within our means of how much effort we are putting into work? I was listening to Srila Prabhupada the other day, and he said this really funny thing. He said, the animals, they are working hard to get food. They don't even have to do anything. They just go get food. And you're working hard. We're working hard. You go to work, get money, then you get food. So that's not even as intelligent as the animals, I thought it was a pretty interesting and funny kind of way of looking at it, that we're working so hard to get a paycheck, and then we can get food, where the animals, they just go get it. So the point being is that our financial health is, of course, also important. But are we chasing money in a way that we're becoming tempted and it controls us? Our lust for money becomes a controller in us, and you hear about these fathers or mothers or people that work 80, 90 hours, and they get older. It's a classic story. Oh, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have spent more time with my kids, you know. Eh, my life got destroyed because I just became too ambitious with my job. So let's have a healthy understanding of what it means to have financial health, so that we're not being owned by it. And we have our friendships, our mental health, our intellectual health. Are we being tempted by uh, um, intellectual pursuits that aren't really practical in our life? There's people that are meant to be very intelligent, right? It's the way they work, and that's natural from them. But are we trying to gain intelligence so that we can show off to our friends and stuff? Eh, you know, that actually isn't really going to give you joy. But we can pursue intellectual temptation so that we can understand things and be able to share to help them grow so that they can be totally health empowered, right? We can teach nice social life. We can teach people how to have nice friendships. We can teach people how to have nice mental health, and they can become leaders. We become leaders by getting something, receiving it, feeling that appreciation, that gratitude for getting it, and we lead by living it and then sharing it with others. And then we create leaders by encouraging them to share it with others. Okay, so that was episode 4 of Nourish Your Devotion. We read about Bhagavad Gita, about temptation. Our spiritual quote, our inspirational quote was, if we let our imagination toy with temptation, we become toys of temptation. We don't want to become puppets. We don't want to become somebody's puppet. We don't want to become anybody's puppet except the Lord's puppet. If you become the Lord's puppet, excuse me, then you're becoming a puppet that's very happy, blissful. So we don't want our body to make us a puppet. We don't want our senses to drag us to hell, to places that we don't want to go. We want to control them. We want to use them for the right purpose. So we talked about that, and yeah, about how to hear too. He spoke about hearing, about how hearing purifies our intelligence and allows us to see. Okay, if you see this video after our live session, make a comment. I'll reply. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Appreciate them. If you're on YouTube and you see this video, please subscribe, please like, and then make a comment. Here's a friendly comment about what area of life tempts you and you would rather be more healthy in it. There we go. Yeah. What area of life would you like to be more healthy, that you find temptation or is distracting you or giving you a difficulty in, and you'd want to improve this? Okay. Thank you all so very much.